Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I've got some fascinating stories to share with you from the AITA subreddit. If you enjoy content like this, make sure to like and subscribe. So shall we get started? Story 1. Would I be the asshole for refusing to name my daughter after my wife's deceased dog? My wife and I, married for 2 years, are expecting our first child, a girl, in 3 months. I'm 31, she's 26, and we've been together for 3.5 years. We met at a bar, hit it off, and built a stable life together. Both of us have solid jobs, earning well above our needs, though we're still paying off student loans. Our families get along, we have our own friends, and our relationship is healthy. No major drama. But there's one issue driving a wedge between us. My wife's insistence on naming our daughter after her childhood dog, Lassie. She's been set on this since her teens, long before we met. To her, it's a tribute to a beloved pet that brought her comfort growing up. I get that the dog meant a lot. Lassie was her companion through tough times, a scruffy mutt who'd sleep by her side and make her feel safe. But to me, naming a human after a dog feels wrong. Lassie isn't a typical human name. It's tied to a famous canine character, and I worry our daughter might face teasing or judgment. Imagine her introducing herself at school or a job interview. Would people take her seriously? I don't think animal lives are less valuable, but our daughter will have a life beyond us, navigating a world where names carry weight. I've tried broaching this gently, but my wife gets emotional whenever the topic comes up. To her, it's not just a name, it's a piece of her heart. She describes Lassie as her first love, a loyal friend who died when she was 16. I suggested alternatives like Lassie or Lacey, which sound similar but feel more human. She shot those down, saying they missed the point. I'm not trying to dismiss her feelings, but I can't shake the unease of giving our kid a name so distinctly tied to a pet. What if she's embarrassed by it later? What if she feels like she's living in the shadow of a dog? We've had calm discussions, but they always stall. She'll tear up, and I'll back off to avoid a fight. I don't want this to blow up, especially with her 6 months pregnant and everything else going so well. Our nursery is half painted, we're picking out strollers, and we're excited to be parents. But this name thing looms large. I've even wondered if I'm being too rigid. Maybe Lassie could work in a quirky, endearing way. Then I imagine explaining to our daughter why we chose it, and it feels like a burden she shouldn't carry. I've read online forums where people share stories of regretting unusual names, and I don't want that for her. I'm planning to suggest a compromise tonight, maybe using Lassie as a middle name, or picking something that honors her dog's spirit without being so literal. But if she digs in, I'm not sure how to stand my ground without hurting her. I love her deeply and respect her attachment, but I feel responsible for our daughter's future. Naming a child is a big decision, and I want us to agree on something that feels right for both of us, and for our kid. This whole situation has me second-guessing myself. I don't want to be the guy who steamrolls his wife's wishes, especially when she's carrying our child. But I also don't want our daughter to grow up with a name that might make her life harder. It's a delicate balance, and I'm struggling to find it. So, would I be the asshole for refusing to name our daughter Lassie? Story 2. Am I the asshole for telling my dad not everyone wants to be a great athlete? I'm 15, and my dad's always been intense about athletics. Back in his day, he was a sprinter, clocking 11. 6 seconds in the 100-meter dash. Not world-class, but impressive for our small country, where the national record is 10:06. He lived like a monk. No ice cream, no junk food, just fish, eggs, vegetables, and fruit until he retired from running at 22. Now he's raising me and my 14-year-old cousin, who's been living with us since my aunt passed away. Dad's got my cousin on the same grueling regimen he followed, and it's causing tension. Dad never pushed me to compete. He's blunt, says I've got zero talent for sprinting. I'm fine with that. I'd rather play video games or read than run laps. He still makes me eat his strict diet, but I don't mind too much. Grilled salmon and steamed broccoli aren't bad. My cousin, though, is another story. He's got potential according to Dad, so he's got him training hard. Early morning runs, weight sessions, and the same no sugar, no fun diet. My cousin's miserable. Last week, he pulled me aside, looking exhausted, and said it's too much. He begged me to talk to Dad, hoping I could get through to him. I waited until dinner when Dad was in a good mood to bring it up. I said, "Dad, not everyone wants to be a great athlete like you were. Maybe ease up on him?" I thought I was being diplomatic, but Dad snapped. His face got red and he said, "I'm his guardian, not you. Stay out of it." I was stunned. He's never yelled at me like that. My cousin sank in his chair and the rest of the meal was silent. I felt awful, like I'd made things worse. Here's the thing. Dad's not wrong about being in charge. After my aunt died, he stepped up for my cousin, handling school paperwork, doctor visits, everything. but he's obsessed with turning him into a mini-him. My cousin's fast, sure, but he's not passionate about running. He loves drawing and wants to join the art club, but Dad says it's a waste of time. Every day, it's track practice or drills, and my cousin's too scared to push back. I've seen him sneak snacks from the pantry like he's rebelling in secret. It's sad. He's 14, stuck in a house where his interests don't matter. I've tried talking to my cousin since, and he's grateful I spoke up, but nothing's changed. Dad's doubled down, signing him up for a regional meet next month. I overheard him telling a friend he thinks discipline will save my cousin from a lazy life. Meanwhile, our house feels tense. I'm not on the training plan, so I'm spared the worst, but I hate seeing my cousin so unhappy. I wonder if I should have stayed quiet or tried a different approach, like writing Dad a letter. But I'm also mad. Why can't he see he's pushing too hard? I get that Dad wants the best for us. He grew up poor, and running got him a college scholarship, a way out. He thinks this is how to give my cousin a future. But forcing someone into a mold they don't fit isn't fair. My cousin's not him, and I'm not either. I don't know how to fix this without another blow-up. Should I try again or let it go? I just want my cousin to have a say in his own life. So am I the asshole for telling my dad he's pushing too far? Story 3. Am I the asshole for not putting my mom on the top table at my wedding? I got married last month and everything went beautifully. The dress, the vows, the sunset reception. But a week ago, I received a letter from my mom, and it's been eating at me. She's heartbroken that she wasn't seated at the top table with my dad and stepmom. She also listed other grievances, not being invited to pick out my wedding dress, not attending my bachelorette party, and generally feeling excluded. Her words stung, but they also confused me, because our relationship has been distant for years, and I don't think she sees why. For context, my mom left my dad when I was 13, my sister was 10, and my brother was 3, after she had an affair. It wasn't just the affair, it was how she checked out afterward. She missed parent-teacher conferences, never helped with homework, and didn't show up when I moved to college. I saw her maybe once a year, and she never asked about my life, my friends, or my dreams. She met my husband only twice before the wedding, and both times felt like small talk with a stranger. My siblings cut contact entirely, but I kept a civil connection, mostly out of obligation. Our calls are short, surface level, maybe once every 10 months. When I got engaged, she suddenly started visiting more, acting like we were close. I was polite, but kept my distance. Planning the wedding, I included her where it felt natural. She got an invite, a corsage, and a mention in the program. But the top table? That was for my dad, stepmom, and my husband's parents, who've been my rock. My dad raised us after the divorce, helped with my essays, drove me to school events, and even co-signed my first apartment lease. My stepmom's been there for a decade, always checking in. They earned that spot. Mom, though? She didn't even ask about the wedding until I sent the save the date. Her letter paints her as the victim, like I've snubbed her without reason. She wrote about how she always tried to be there for me, which feels like a rewrite of history. I was hurt growing up, waiting for her to show up to my recitals or call on my birthday. She didn't. Now she's framing it like I've shut her out unfairly. I wonder if I'm being too harsh. Maybe I should have reached out more over the years, tried to rebuild something. But every time I think about it, I remember the silence on her end when I needed her most. Why should I chase someone who checked out when I was a kid? The wedding choices weren't about punishment. I didn't invite her dress shopping because I wanted that moment with my stepmom and best friends who know me inside out. The bachelorette party was planned by my maid of honor, and I didn't think to include Mom because she's never met my friends. The top table was for the people who've been my family, not just in name but in action. Still, her letter has me second-guessing. Did I owe her more because she's my mom? Should I have explained my choices beforehand to avoid this? I haven't responded to her yet. Part of me wants to lay it all out, how her absence shaped our relationship, but I'm not sure if that's cruel. Another part wonders if she genuinely doesn't see the disconnect, like she's built a narrative where she's the devoted parent. Either way, I don't want this to haunt me. I love my life, my husband, my family, but this letter's reopened old wounds. So, am I the asshole for not putting my mom on the top table and for not reaching out more over the years? Story 4. Am I the asshole for asking my roommate to stop propagating more plants? Because our apartment no longer feels shared, I share a 3-bedroom apartment with 2 roommates. And we just re-signed our lease for another year. The place is great, spacious, good location, but the rental market's brutal, so we're sticking it out. We've had minor clashes over cleaning standards, but nothing major until recently. The issue? One roommate's plant obsession has taken over our shared space, and it's making the apartment feel like it's hers alone. It started small. A year ago, she had 5 or 6 plants in the living room. Cute, green, no big deal. But now, there are over 20, crowding every surface. The coffee table's buried under pots, shelves are packed, and she's even hung plants from closet doorknobs. They're mostly propagations of the same 2 species, so it's not just variety, it's quantity. The living room feels like a jungle, and not in a cozy way. I can't set down a drink or watch TV without moving ferns. My other roommate, who mostly sticks to the kitchen, hasn't complained, but she's staying out of it. It's not just aesthetics. My roommate's constantly repotting, leaving dirt on tables and windowsills. One sill is so caked my cleaning attempts barely made a dent, and I'm worried we'll lose part of our deposit. She's also moved my stuff without asking, like a baker's rack I loved, now shoved in a closet, eating up storage. Worst of all, she relocated my sentimental plant pot, a gift from my grandma, to a shady corner where it's wilting. I told her it needed sun, but she insists on keeping blinds open for her plants and says I can't open windows because it'll stress them. Her bedroom, the biggest with south-facing windows, is already a greenhouse with 20 plants, but she keeps adding more in the common areas. I tried to be chill. I've adapted when she's rearranged things before, but this feels different. The kitchen's now part of her propagation pipeline. Cuttings root on the windowsill before moving to the living room. Sticky gnat traps are everywhere, which I get are common with plants, but the sheer number is overwhelming. I finally snapped when she went on vacation and left a sticky note asking me to open and close her door for plant airflow. I did it, but it hit me how much I've been accommodating her hobby without any say. I sat her down and said we need to stop adding plants and talk about shared space. I wasn't mean, I get that plants bring her joy, but I explained the apartment doesn't feel like ours anymore. It feels like hers. She got upset, saying she just wants the place to feel lived in. I offered to collaborate on decorating, blending our styles, but she said I was interfering with her passion. I pointed out that her plants are everywhere, even affecting my stuff, but she doubled down, saying the space was bare before. It stung. She's acting like my contributions don't matter. I asked her to remove some plants or stop propagating in common areas. She hasn't agreed, and we're at a stalemate. I'm not trying to kill her vibe, but I want to stay in our home. My room gets no light, so my plant has to stay in the living room, but it's like I'm a guest in my own place. I'm worried this will escalate, especially with a year left on the lease. I get that she loves her plants, but shouldn't we all have equal claim to the space? So, am I the asshole for asking her to cut back on the plants? Story 5. Am I the asshole for dancing while cleaning when my cousin is in a wheelchair? I'm 20, living at my parents' house, where my aunt and 11-year-old cousin have been staying since they hit hard times. Things were fine at first, but tensions brewing over something I didn't see coming: my dancing while cleaning. I've got 2 bunnies who, despite being spayed, pee everywhere but their litter box. I've tried everything to fix it, but after 8 years, I'm resigned to deep cleaning their cage every few days. It's in the living room, so it's visible, and to make the chore bearable, I pop on headphones and dance while scrubbing. It's my routine, always has been. My cousin, who uses a wheelchair, loves playing with the bunnies. They're a bright spot for her, and I get that. She's had a rough go. But my aunt pulled me aside recently and told me to stop dancing. She said it upsets my cousin, who feels jealous because she can't move like that. I was floored. I offered to move the cage upstairs to clean in private, but my cousin would miss the bunnies and she'd probably get mad. I've tried cleaning when they're out, but it's summer and they're almost always home. My aunt said my cousin needs to feel comfortable since they live here now, but I feel like I'm being asked to change who I am in my own house. I didn't mean to sound harsh, but I told my aunt my cousin needs to deal with it. Life won't always bend for her. My aunt got quiet, and now she and my cousin glare at me when I clean. My parents are divorced and mom's on my side, saying it's my home too, but dad thinks I should be more sensitive. I get that my cousin's situation is tough. She's young, stuck in a new place, and probably feels left out. But I'm not dancing to rub it in, it's just how I cope with a gross task. The living room's the only spot for the cage since my room's too small and the bunnies need space. I've caught my cousin watching me sometimes, and it breaks my heart if she's hurting. But I also feel like I'm walking on eggshells. Should I have to hide my personality? I've tried including her, letting her pet the bunnies while I clean, even offering to play music she likes. She just shrugs me off. My aunt's acting like I'm selfish, but I'm not trying to hurt anyone. I wonder if I'm missing something. Maybe there's a way to make this work without giving up my routine. I've thought about cleaning at night, but I work late shifts and I'm wiped by then. This whole thing's got me second-guessing. My cousin's been through a lot, and I don't want to make her feel worse, but it feels unfair to be told I can't be myself in my own home. The glares are getting old, and the vibe in the house is tense. I'm not trying to be cruel, but I don't think I should have to stop something harmless just because it's hard for her to see. Maybe I could talk to her directly, but I'm worried it'll come off wrong. I just want the house to feel like home for all of us, not a battleground. So, am I the asshole for keep dancing while cleaning? Story 6. Am I the asshole for hiding my personal stuff from my roommates in our shared apartment? I live with 3 good friends in a 4-person apartment, and we've been roommates for a while. Things are generally cool. We split chores, hang out, and keep the peace. But there's one issue that's been grinding my gears: my roommates using my stuff without asking. I'm not rich, but I can afford nicer things like fancy shower gel, soft toilet paper, or high-end toothpaste. My roommates, though, tend to buy the cheapest stuff possible: scratchy toilet paper, watery shampoo, you name it. The problem? When they run out, they use mine until it's gone, then restock with their bargain bin replacements. At first, I didn't mind sharing a little, but it's gotten out of hand. I'd come home to an empty bottle of my 15er body wash, while their dollar store version sat untouched. My toothpaste would vanish, and I'd find it half squeezed in the bathroom. I started noticing they'd use my things first, like it was communal property, before falling back on their own. It's not just the cost, it's the principle. I work hard to treat myself to small luxuries, and it feels like I'm subsidizing everyone else's hygiene. I tried talking to them casually, like, hey, can we stick to our own stuff? They'd nod, apologize, but nothing changed. So I started hiding my things. Every night I take my shower gel, toothpaste, even toilet paper back to my room. The bathroom looks bare now, but at least my stuff's safe. Last week, though, things blew up. One roommate noticed the empty shelves and confronted me, saying I was being petty and untrusting. I explained I was tired of my things disappearing, but they got defensive, saying sharing is part of living together. I suggested a solution. I'd buy quality stuff for the house, and we'd split the cost. They shot it down, saying my taste is too expensive for their budgets. I get their point. Money's tight for them. But it's not fair that I'm stuck choosing between losing my stuff or hoarding it like a dragon. I've caught them rolling their eyes when I grab my things, and one even called me bougie behind my back. It stings because we're friends, and I don't want to seem selfish. But why should I keep supplying everyone? I've tried compromising, leaving out a spare roll of my toilet paper or a cheap body wash for shared use, but they still dip into my good stuff when I'm not looking. The apartment's vibe is off now. We still chat and laugh, but there's this undercurrent of tension. I wonder if I'm overreacting. Maybe sharing is just part of roommate life and I'm being too territorial. But I also feel disrespected, like my boundaries don't matter. I've thought about locking my stuff in a caddy, but that feels extreme and I don't want to escalate things further. I could try another house meeting, but the last one didn't go great. They act like I'm the bad guy for wanting control over what I buy. Part of me feels guilty. They're good people, and maybe they don't realize how much this bugs me. But another part's fed up. Why can't they respect my stuff, or at least have a real conversation about it? I want our apartment to feel like a home, not a place where I'm guarding my toothpaste. It's such a small thing, but it's snowballed into a bigger issue. I just want a fair setup where we all contribute and respect each other's boundaries. So am I the asshole for hiding my personal stuff from my roommates? Thanks so much for listening until the end. If you enjoyed these AITA stories, please like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what's next. Which story surprised you the most? Drop a comment below and let me know. See you soon.